drivetrain is fully vertically integrated in our plant in Arizona.
Tonight, a West Coast electric vehicle maker finds itself in a unique position with a chance to profit as President Trump digs in on his trade war.
Been ripped off and taken advantage of by many countries over the years, and can't do it anymore.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to West Coast Wrap. I'm Alex Savage. President Trump says he is ready to impose new tariffs if he doesn't get more cooperation from China. Despite that threat, Wall Street closed out a volatile day of trading with mixed results. The Dow dropped another 349 points today, but the Nasdaq gained 15 points during the session. The S&P 500 was off by just 11 points. President Trump says his administration is now in communication with several countries looking to talk about the tariffs and put an end to the economic uncertainty.
We have many countries that are coming to negotiate deals with us, and they're going to be fair deals, and in certain cases they're going to be paying substantial tariffs. There'll be fair deals.
President Trump says he plans to hit China with an additional 50% tariff if the country does not pull back from its new retaliatory 34% tariff. He gave Beijing until tomorrow to comply. Critics say the president's trade war is putting the global economy at risk.
Trump and Republicans are actually crashing the economy in real time. You can't make this up. They are intentionally inflicting pain on the American people. This Trump tax, these reckless tariffs, will cost the American people thousands of dollars a year.
Senate Democrats say they plan to push legislation later this month that could potentially rescind President Trump's tariffs. There has been a lot of talk about how U.S. automakers will suffer from this escalating trade war, but the head of an Arizona-based EV maker believes his company likely stands to benefit as the tariffs ramp up. Fox 10's Steve Nielsen spoke with industry insiders about the future of Lucid Motors.
It wasn't long ago we were test driving the first Lucid Airs off the production line in Casa Grande.
Everybody put your heads against the headrest. Go for it.
Later this month, their first SUV, the Gravity, will start being delivered to customers. Coming off their best quarter ever, Arizona's electric vehicle startup now has some more headwinds.
Tariffs are certainly going to help every domestic produced vehicle, and that includes Lucid.
Auto industry analyst Carl Brower with IC Cars says tariffs will impact everyone and every maker, but Lucid is well positioned.
We have the e-motor, the drivetrain is fully vertically integrated in our plant in Arizona.
Lucid's new CEO, Mark Winterhoff, joined Fox Business Live, touting how much of the car is made in Arizona and how the percentage will only increase.
We also have now arrangements with our cell suppliers to move the cell production stateside.
Another piece of good news for Lucid, Winterhoff said 50% of new buyers this year have come from previous Tesla owners, suggesting recent reactions to Elon Musk and the Trump administration might cause some to jump from Tesla to Lucid.
Tesla still has the longest demo lines at our festival by far.
BJ Burtwell's the founder of the Electrify Expo, the 1 million square foot EV extravaganza is coming to State Farm Stadium this weekend. He says it gives a chance for potential buyers to ask companies about tariff impacts.
Certainly the tariffs are taking over the headlines, and it's causing quite a bit of curiosity about how that's going to impact electric vehicles.
While a lot may seem positive for Lucid, Brower said the EV maker, which employs hundreds of Arizonans, still faces steep challenges in the months and years ahead.
And the reality is just that it's a really challenging environment for automakers in general.
And that was Fox 10's Steve Nielsen reporting tonight. To stay on top of President Trump's economic strategy, you can head to our website. That is westcoastwrap.com. Our online coverage there includes global reaction to this escalating trade war. 2 border inspection officers have been charged with taking bribes in exchange for allowing people to enter the country without proper documents. Those officers worked at the San Ysidro port of entry along California's southern border with Mexico. Prosecutors say the men were charged after they exchanged messages with human traffickers in Mexico. Investigators believe they were paid thousands of dollars for each vehicle they allowed to cross the border without proper documents. An attorney for one of the officers says this investigation is still in its, quote, infant stages, and he's looking forward to working through the current situation. The Trump administration has revoked student visas for hundreds of international college students, including students from Stanford, UC Berkeley, UCLA, and UNLV. UCLA administrators say all of the termination notices at their campus are, quote, due to violations of the terms of the individual's visa programs. The State Department has said it would revoke visas for students who participate in political activism criticizing the U.S.
The Secretary of State believes that the student is engaged in activity that's contrary to U.S. foreign policy, then the State Department has the authority to ask for revocation.
Many of those schools say they're making legal assistance available to those students. A doctor from Maui, accused of trying to kill his wife along a hiking trail, pleaded not guilty today to attempted murder charges. The wife of Gerhard Koenig says they were hiking in Honolulu last month to celebrate her birthday. She says he grabbed her, pushed her toward the edge of a cliff, attempted to inject her with a syringe, and then bashed her head with a rock. The couple has 2 young sons together. Koenig is being held without bail tonight. If he's convicted, he could face life in prison. In Arizona, the trial began today for Lori Daybell, the so-called doomsday mom who's charged with conspiring to kill her 4th husband. She was previously convicted in Idaho of killing her 2 youngest children. Daybell is representing herself in this case and has pleaded not guilty. Fox 10's Lauren Clark reports tonight from the courtroom in Phoenix.
Well, day 1 has officially wrapped up for the Lori Vallow Daybell case here at the Maricopa County Courthouse. We saw a very packed courthouse inside, media from across the country here wanting to see day 1. Prosecutor Trina Kay went first, had a very strong start. She began by reading text messages between Lori and her now late brother, Alex Cox. However, all eyes were on Lori Vallow Daybell. That's because despite not being an attorney in this case, she is representing herself. She came up to the podium to start giving her opening statements, and while she did not have any shackles on her arms or legs, she was wearing what's called a rock belt underneath her clothes. That way deputies could press a button in case anything were to happen. Lori gave her opening statement with a bit of a narrative tale. She also started every single sentence with the phrase, "the evidence will show." At times, she was very emotional. And she also attempted to cross-examine police officers and first responders who were there on the scene.
So when I arrived at the scene, things were pretty calm.
Is that a question?
Yes.
Oh, yes, you were calm.
No, I'm saying when I arrived at the scene itself was calm environment.
It was.
Okay. So if I would have been hysterical, that would have been more out of character than if I was calm when everybody else was being calm. Isn't that correct?
Speculation.
Sustained.
Now, this is all part of a very convoluted tale involving extreme religious beliefs, marriage, and murder. Lori Vallow was convicted of killing her kids Tylee and JJ in an Idaho courtroom back in 2023, and her husband Chad Daybell was also found guilty. Now, Charles was killed in 2019 by Lori's now late brother, Alex. Prosecutors say Alex shot and killed Charles. They told police at the time that it was because of self-defense following a fight with a baseball bat. However, prosecutors say this was a conspiracy to kill Charles between Lori and Alex. They say they were motivated by their extreme religious beliefs, Charles' life insurance policy, and Lori's desire to marry Chad Daybell. Reporting here in Phoenix, Lauren Clark, Fox 10 News.
Tonight, the Menendez brothers are speaking publicly about their case from prison and expressing optimism about winning their freedom soon. TMZ did an exclusive interview with Lyle and Eric Menendez, who are serving life sentences without parole for the murders of their parents back in 1989. The brothers say they feel hope for the future as they prepare to go before the California Parole Board in June. Right now, the parole board is working on a risk assessment for the brothers, which Governor Gavin Newsom will use to decide whether to grant them clemency.
It's interesting to hear them talk about the possibilities or the prospects of what life could look like for them on the outside world. I mean, you've got two people who thought they were never getting out and there were no hopes for the future. I mean, it's, what do you hope and dream about when you're sitting in prison and you're destined to be there until you take your last breath? I mean, there's not much hope in that situation. So now they've got a whole renewed sense of hope.
That risk assessment from the California Parole Board will also be sent to a judge who will consider whether to re-sentence the Menendez brothers. And if you want to watch that interview, it's TMZ Presents the Menendez Brothers, the prison interview, making its debut tonight on Fox. You can also stream it after that on Fubo, or DirecTV. Those are your streaming options. Both of those streaming services offer free trials to new subscribers before you commit to a paid subscription. Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, a woman stuck in a storm drain 10 feet underground, and authorities believe she may have been there for days. Tonight, watch rescuers as they pull her to safety.
And a live look over Phoenix this afternoon, where parts of the desert Southwest bracing for triple-digit heat. I'll have a look at what we can expect in the West for the next few days coming up.
Also coming up tonight, 3 months after Southern California's devastating firestorm, survivors continue to plead for help.
I've never heard no so much in my life since this happened.
All you can do now is persevere. Pray to God, that doors will open.
A woman rescued from a storm drain in Southern California may have been stuck there for several days. Emergency crews in Poway, north of San Diego, spent a couple of hours working to free the woman this afternoon. Authorities so far have not said how she got into that storm drain, but she was found about 10 feet underground. Her condition tonight is unknown. Several people were injured after a minivan plowed right into a crowded area in downtown Los Angeles. This crash happened yesterday afternoon in LA's Fashion District. The LA Fire Department says 7 people were sent to the hospital and 2 people were treated there at the scene. The victims in this crash range in age from 8 up to 65. They were all reported to be in fair condition. Authorities tonight are still investigating the circumstances surrounding that crash. Today, Boeing settled a lawsuit over a fatal crash that involved a plane made in Renton, Washington. That case was set to go to trial today. Fox 13's Sean Chitnis spoke with an attorney representing one of the victims' families.
This settlement comes as Boeing was already highlighting the improvements they've made here at their Renton facility. The company says that they have strengthened training for mechanics and quality inspectors who build the 737 here. Boeing and the families of 2 victims from the 2019 crash of an Ethiopian Airlines 737 MAX settled lawsuits hours before they were set to go to trial today in Chicago. That plane crashed minutes after taking off, killing 157 people on board. This settlement avoids a trial that was expected to last 2 weeks in federal court. There was another 737 MAX crash within a year and a federal inquiry into the company's safety protocols. Boeing did admit to criminal fraud and faces a trial in Texas this June. There are still pending cases for 18 other victims. The next trial for them is scheduled in July. The attorney for one of the victims' families in the settlement, Mark Lindquist, reacted to the settlement this morning.
Really, my experience with victims in these types of cases is this is a big step forward in the healing process for them and moving on with their lives.
The amount of the settlements in both of these cases has not been released. Reporting in Renton, Sean Chitnis, Fox 13 News.
All right, we shift now to talk about our weather here in the West and the work week getting started with new storms hitting the Pacific Northwest. Here is a live look tonight at downtown Seattle, where people have been dealing with showers off and on for most of the day. For more, let's bring in KTVU meteorologist Rosemary Orozco, who is tracking these storms and the conditions we can expect throughout the rest of this week across the West. Hey, Rosemary.
Yes, Alex, not just rain, but snow in the higher elevations. Afternoon high in Seattle today, 58 degrees. Meanwhile, the Bay Area also also received a little bit of rain this morning over parts, and San Francisco coming in the low 60s for today. The farther south you go, the warmer it gets. Southern California, Los Angeles reporting 78 degrees with partly cloudy, dry conditions, and now heading over towards Phoenix, where temperatures this afternoon in the upper 80s and climbing, as I mentioned before the break, nearing 100 degrees or so for some of the desert Southwest getting into the days ahead. And I'll show you that here momentarily. Let's take a look at the current conditions, where it is still a very cool one outdoors over areas of the Pacific Northwest. 49 degrees reported right now in Seattle, and there are travel advisories there for the winter mix that will continue until tomorrow afternoon. Meanwhile, San Francisco, dry conditions 56. You get over towards Las Vegas and areas into Arizona, we've got 80s there, so an enjoyable evening setting up. The West Coast satellite and radar showing you that the wet weather will continue over the Pacific Northwest, including Washington and Oregon through tomorrow before it tapers off. But the unsettled weather expected to remain in place for the coming days. Meanwhile, California will be drying out and warming up. Here's a look at the Futurecast model and giving you a view of tomorrow morning. 7 a.m., the wet weather continuing over areas of Washington and Oregon, stretching into Idaho. It does begin to push a little bit farther north into Canada on Wednesday, giving areas like Washington and Oregon a little bit of a break, but it doesn't last. Here's a look at Thursday, another system rolling in. So as we take a look here at the next few days, starting in the Pacific Northwest, notice we've got the icons with rain there and temperatures in the low 50s for tomorrow, low 60s Wednesday, Thursday. Meanwhile, the Bay Area looking pretty with temperatures in the upper 60s for Wednesday, Thursday. Then as you head over to our Southern California, gorgeous weather here, mid 70s for tomorrow, low 80s by Thursday. We get into very hot weather for Phoenix, 100 degrees expected on Thursday. Alex?
All right, Rosemary, thank you. Today, family and friends gathered in Salt Lake City to honor the life of former Utah Congresswoman Mia Love. The first black Republican woman to be elected to Congress died last month after a long battle with brain cancer. She served 2 terms in Congress from 2015 to 2019. Mia Love was 49 years old. Today marks 3 months since the start of Southern California's Eaton and Palisades fires. And while there are signs of progress in many of the burn areas, many victims say they still need help. Fox 11's Christina Gonzalez spoke with some of them today.
I need help. I need help.
Bridget Bradley is desperate. The Eaton fire destroyed the Section 8 home where her disabled son had all kinds of medical equipment. This is what's left of the specialized chair he uses.
That was his pole for his infinity bag and his pump.
This is also where his supplies were being delivered, but now that she's living in a hotel, she's being told
they couldn't deliver to the hotel. They said that it has to be a permanent address.
Items like his colostomy bag and replacements for the G-tube he uses to eat, things you just can't get at a store.
I'm just left on the phone calling back to back to try to say, hey, can I at least get this? Can I get the nebulizer? Can I get the pulse ox? Can I get the concentrator so I can hook my baby up to make sure that his life is okay and not in danger in any type of way, or he has to relapse and be back in the hospital because his colonoscopy site just looks raw and red and spewing out, and it's only so much you could do to keep that bag on.
She's not even close to okay 3 months after the fires, and she's not alone.
Still finding people that are living in their cars, over 250 people, and we're finding a new one every single day. But then there's days like this where we get blessed with over 200 mattresses.
Just finding something to sleep on has been a struggle for many, even 3 months after the fires. So this stuff is for you guys, right? What do you got in here?
Just a mattress for the bed.
I'm Kimberly, and my house burnt down in Altadena, and I lost everything.
Did you ever think that you'd be going to a place like this to get a mattress to sleep on?
No.
So while images like this at one location may be progress to some, all around it are the ruins of more than homes. It's people's lives.
I think government agencies need to step up more and get the people out of their cars and at least get us into temporary housing.
I've never heard no so much in my life since this happened.
All you could do now is persevere. pray to God, that doors will open.
And that was Fox 11's Christina Gonzalez reporting tonight. Grammy-nominated singer-songwriter Aloe Black is working with a nonprofit to help revitalize Altadena after the fire there. The organization Change Reaction has already distributed checks averaging nearly $3,000 to roughly 900 families. Change Reaction is now working to transition fire victims into new housing.
Change Reaction is making this promise and this pledge to offer gap-filling relief to folks who are underinsured, maybe not insured at all, just because the ultimate mission is the people who live in Altadena deserve to return.
Aloe Black has been a part of the Altadena community for more than 10 years. Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, the 2024 World Series champions took their celebration to the White House today. Tonight, what the Dodgers were hoping to accomplish with this visit. Also tonight, tennis icon Billie Jean King celebrates a first in Hollywood.
We all need to work together to make sure women in sports are celebrated here in Hollywood.
The Los Angeles Dodgers celebrated their 2024 World Series win in the nation's capital today.
And I'm thrilled to welcome to the White House and very special people, actually, very talented people, the 2024 World Series champion, the Los Angeles Dodgers.
The World Series champions visited the White House and presented President Trump with a jersey. Pitcher Clayton Kershaw says he hopes his team sets an example for everyone.
Not just in sports, but in life, remembering to put others before ourselves. It moves the team and the society forward. So thank you for allowing me to speak today, because the story of the 2024 World Series champion Los Angeles Dodgers is a true joy to get to tell. And it's because of the extraordinary people that are behind me and their incredible pursuit of excellence. Thank you.
The Dodgers kicked off a series against the Washington Nationals today. They lost that game 6-4.
Special privilege for me to be able to say, on behalf of the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce, we now declare today Billie Jean King Day in Hollywood!
Quite a moment. Tennis legend Billie Jean King made history again today. She became the first woman to receive a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in the sports entertainment category. This recognition comes from King's work on the PBS documentary Groundbreakers. That docuseries focused on the struggles and achievements of women in sports.
The important thing is I don't want to be the last one, okay? We all need to work together to make sure women in sports are celebrated here in Hollywood. I was fortunate to attend Holly Hunter's star ceremony in 2008. And I remember thinking back then, oh man, this is really cool. This would be unbelievable. And I think, oh, I'm never gonna get there, but here I am.
And there she is, and what a moment it is. The Walk of Fame established its sports entertainment category back in 2021. And congratulations to Billie Jean King on that achievement. That does it for West Coast Wrap tonight. We appreciate you watching as always. Have a great night.